in the heavyweight division up for grabs. Jameel Big Time McCline is going to take on the undefeated former U.S. Olympian Calvin Brock. Let's look at Dan Rayfield's ESPN.com rankings. Jameel McCline, he enjoys the lofty status. You see Klitschko, Bird, and Ruiz. Then at number 6 is Jameel McCline. He also enjoys top 10 status in Ring Magazine. He's been cemented as a worthy title challenger for a few years, and he's putting that all on the line tonight. Calvin Brock would surely jump into this elite group with a win, and their most recent work, well, it's worth reflecting on. Size matters. Jameel McCline hopes so. He came in at 265. Brock is 218, 5 inches shorter. Jameel is looking for another title shot. He was so close to being a world champ just 5 months ago. Facing his good friend Chris Bird, Jameel started fast. That big right hand put Bird down in the second round. He would rock him again in the 5th, but by the 8th round, the crafty Bird simply started to outbox and outwork the bulkier McCline. Bird would win a slim split decision to retain his belt. As for Calvin Brock, his last outing had a more definitive ending. On January 21st, Clifford Etienne stepped in the ring with a fresh attitude, but he would leave it with a worn-down feeling. In the 3rd, plenty of punishment was handed out by Calvin. The fight was stopped. Here's how Calvin plans to topple McCline.
I think anybody, when you hitting a person with devastating blows to the head and to the body, they always go into a retreat. Unless they just have a whole bunch of heart, and I don't think Jameel has that kind of heart. So I'm definitely going to be hitting him with some good, clean, hard shots, and he will retreat.
There's no mistake about it. One of the better heavyweights in the world. I'm impressed with Brock's bravado and stepping up. But having said that, it's still going to be a short night. If not short, definitive.
So the heavyweights ready to go at it from this beautiful scene here at Caesar's Palace, the Roman Plaza Amphitheater. And here comes Jameel Big Time McCline. Two-time world title challenger, says that the experience will help him greatly. To quote him, when we met with him yesterday, "I've been to the big show before. He hasn't."
There's no doubt that Brock is stepping up in class here tonight, but do not forget that what Brock lacks in pro experience, I think he'll make up for in the amateur experience he has from fighting top guys in the world for years, having been on our Olympic team in the year 2000 over in Sydney.
Born in Harlem, grew up in Port Jefferson, played high school football and basketball there before matriculating at 2 different colleges. You see the combined record of his last 5 opponents, an amazing 93%. Remember those college days, as you probably heard about, were interrupted by legal troubles. He spent 5 years in prison for transporting firearms. Turned his life around though, and he's a dedicated family man. And for the first time in his career, Calvin Brock comes into a fight that he is not favored to win. The boxing banker is his nickname. He got that when he worked in the financial world during his pre-Olympic days. And the last time he entered a ring with Jameel McCline, it was as a sparring partner when he was impersonating Chris Bird, getting McCline, strangely enough, ready for his title shot.
Now let's remember, the theme has been experience here. I'll say it again. Brock, don't forget all those amateur fights, 190 of them. And McCline, yes, all the pro experience. But you know how many amateur fights he had? One.
Teddy, the fight plan for Jameel McCline.
Well, number one, for McCline tonight, use the height, not the size. That means fight tall on the outside, beginning with the jab. Don't get caught up in using your size or weight on the inside. Number two, be a sniper. Catch him as he's coming. Once you establish your jab at the proper range, this should be easy. And your hands are quick enough for you to enjoy success for this throughout the night. And finally, number three, don't get small. In other words, do not lean forward on the inside to avoid punches. You not only give up height, but you can leave yourself vulnerable to uppercuts.
And the fight plan for the undefeated former U.S. Olympian.
Well, for Brock, number one, not complicated after what we just said. Get close. Take away his advantage of reach on the outside by getting inside and going to work. Number two, take little steps inside. That would be small steps backward to create punching room as he tries to tie you up and fall in close. And finally, number three, don't lead with the left hook, at least not from too far away or right in front. You could leave an opening for a straight right. Don't forget, straights beat hooks.
We are ready for heavyweight action, and so is Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Well, fans, Budweiser ESPN pay-per-view boxing continues. This bout coming away as a special attraction, a showdown. It is brought to you courtesy of Main Events in association with Cedric Kushner Promotions, along with Caesar's Palace and the undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. Introducing to you our three judges scoring the attraction from ringside: Caro Castellano, Bill Graham, and Glenn Trowbridge. Our referee in charge of the action, he'll be giving instructions after the introductions. Fair but firm, Joe Cortez. All right, fans, here we go with a heavyweight special attraction. The big boys of boxing, scheduled 10 rounds of action. Introducing to you first on my right, fighting out of the red corner, wearing gold trunks with black and white trim, hailing from Clifton, New Jersey. He weighed in at 265 pounds. His record, 31 wins, 4 losses, 3 draws, with 19 wins coming by way of knockout. Ranked in the top 10 by the WBC, WBA, and the IBF. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jameel Big Time McCline. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the blue corner in this 10-round special attraction, wearing a gold trunks with light blue trim, hailing from Charlotte, North Carolina, and training in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He weighed in at 218 pounds. He is undefeated with a record of 24 wins, no losses, 20 big wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 2000 U.S. Olympic super heavyweight known as the Boxing Banker, introducing Calvin Brock. Joe Cortez now to give instructions.
All right, gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. When I say break, you break clean. You understand? Okay, guys, remember, I'm fair, but I'm firm.
Top 10 ranked heavyweight Jameel McCline didn't have to take this fight. Could have easily waited around for another title shot. But he says fighters are supposed to fight. Thus, the unbeaten Calvin Brock gets a golden opportunity. The ring experience was a big edge for McCline, Teddy. Obviously, he's fought the better competition, more competition, and with that experience comes confidence for McCline, because it's so important for McCline, Teddy, because that muscle in between the ears, that psyche, always plays a factor in his fights.
Well, there's one thing that's clear already. With the color of both men's uniforms, somebody's going to be golden tonight.
You better believe it. Golden opportunity for Calvin Brock. Can he take advantage? Tries to come in behind the left and then go with the overhead right.
So far, the early landscape looks good, and it's very early for Brock because he understands his game plan, and number one, he has a game plan, and it's to get in, and he's been able to take away that reach 3 times already.
McCline swinging downward with the right hand.
If there's a vulnerability defensively for Brock, and I should say very early, he lays his head on the right side. And when you lay your head on the right side, he's been hurt already a little bit, I think, by a right hand off the side of the head. Just watch for this. Brock will lay his head on the right side. See where it is?
Yes.
He missed it that time, but when you lay your head on the right like that, you're in line to get hit with the right hand. You're better off laying your head on the left, outside the right hand.
Because you're in the target of the flow of the right hand.
You're in that right hand punching lane.
And that's a punch that McCline used so effectively against Chris Bird in the second round when he came in and had Bird against the rope.
And you know what?
Brock charges in.
Just ask our great host, Sugar Ray Leonard, about that. The second time he fought Tommy Hearns, he laid his head on the right side and he ate some right hands that made that fight what it was, and very difficult. If you're going to lay your head on the right side, you got to be in real close, Joe, where there's no room to pitch that right hand. But if there's a little distance, and Brock is having distance and laying his head on the right, you're going to be vulnerable to that shot.
Good pace being set early on here between Brock and McCline. Lead right hand from Brock. McCline had his guard up. Now spins his way back to the center of the ring. He wants to work at range, he said. Keep in mind, these two had 24 rounds of sparring sessions back in the fall. You can see an abrasion now around the left eye of Calvin Brock.
And again, that's from the right hand, and that's what's significant.
That looks like a flat-out cut now. We're going to have to monitor that after this round. There's Brock charging in.
You know, again, everybody thought the confidence level would favor McCline because of all the pro experience. His last fight fought for a title, lost a split division. But again, Brock looking confident. 190 amateur fights, a trip to the Olympics for your country, that'll give you confidence.
Very, very good opening round between McCline and Brock. Let's get to Calvin Brock's corner where Tom Yankello and cutman Calvin Brock, his father, will take a look at that left eye.
Listen, you keep sticking that jab. Yeah, man. Right. The jab is the key. You understand what I'm saying? You keep sticking that jab. Don't get caught up on the inside. Right. Yep. He's throwing his punches wide, but I don't want you to get caught. You get in and you get out. Yeah. You get in, get out. Jimmy got it. What? You understand? Stick the jab hard. Hard shots to the body. You understand what I'm saying? Hard shots to the body because that is bothering him. Take his legs away to the body, Calvin, and then go upstairs when it's open. You understand? Hard jabs, hard shots to the body. Sometimes double up on the jab, drop the right hand down.
Jimmy Glenn, the venerable trainer, has been working with Jameel McCline for some time now. So, Teddy, they got to work on the left eye, the cut from Calvin Brock.
Wipe the water.
It's a good first round for both men. I think they both tried to do a little of what they want to continue to have success with tonight. A round in which Brock was cut, although I may have favored him in winning that first round.
Hey, keep the punches up, my man. Keep them up.
The punches from round number one. Brock judicious and efficient, 16 out of 41, 39%. McCline, a little more active, only landed 12 connects.
So far, a little better start from McCline, snapping that jab at the right distance. Again, you can see evidence that McCline, yes, he's much heavier, much more bulky than Brock, but not as confident on the inside as he is on the outside. Therefore, the grasp, the clinch by McCline.
Said he was just too muscular up top at 270 plus pounds. Now a slightly trimmer Jameel McCline at 265. Could help him boxing on the outside, something you want to see him do more of, Teddy. There's that jab from range. Tries to come in with a right hand behind it.
If you're a backup Brock, you like the idea he's using the jab more than I've seen him use it in the past. Where he hasn't been caught on maybe as much, and he's caught on tonight with a bigger man. One way to take away the bigger man's jab is use your own. Brock seems to understand that. One of the great ways to use height, which McCline has, is to use that jab to control height, to control distance. So the one thing on the mind of Brock going into this fight And the first thing should be on his mind is take that jab away. Therefore, take that height away. And Brock understands that by feeding jabs of his own to McCline and getting right in that pocket. Getting
nice
right in
work
there.
by Calvin Brock, and he finishes it with an uppercut.
Well, he got inside, and when he's inside, I said it from the beginning, I believe Brock, even though McCline's the bigger, bulkier man, his big advantage is there, on the inside.
Good work with the jab now. Brock showing you well-rounded skills so far in these first 2 rounds.
Well, what you got to feel good about Brock right now is he's at least holding his own on the outside with that jab with McCline, and he's winning on the inside. And if it keeps that way, you got to like his chances, because McCline has to be dominant on the inside or on the outside to really have an edge in this fight. If he can't be dominant on the outside, right now he's not. We know, at least I feel I know, he's not going to get the best of it on the inside. Therefore, it's going to be a tough night for him. There's 2 ways to take a height away, and that's one right there. Using the jab to work your way in, and then finishing with the right hand. Nice move by Brock there, setting the table with the jab, and then eating with the right hand.
Beautiful, man. You're working beautiful. Just keep picking your shots the same way you're doing.
Dad Calvin's Brock. As they work on that cut above the left eye, you can see his father on the other side of the ropes.
When you jab, and he jabs at the same time, Calvin,
Well, let's look at the damage that Calvin Brock did to Jameel McCline in that second round. Nice combination, Teddy.
Well, the first thing is, where is he? He's on the inside. That's good. And he's got the shorter arms, and on the inside, that's good. He can move those hands and be effective. There he uses the left hand to set up the simple, conventional right hand, left hook. And he's putting them together. Again, that amateur experience we talked about showing for Brock.
His dad taught him to fight after purchasing mail order videos from the back of Ring magazine. Now, of course, he's been polished up by a real emerging good young trainer, Tommy Yankello. Says Tommy takes care of the fundamentals and the nutrition, and it means the world to him. In that second round, Brock had a 15-2 edge in power connects. He landed 15 of 28 power shots, good for 54%. Those men wearing gold. McCline has the black trim. Brock has the blue trim. And if you can't tell the difference, when one is 47 pounds more, then I'll leave it at that.
You know, there's an
Good
old
body
saying.
shot now from McCline, and he's trying to jump on him.
There's an old saying, you use the jab to set the table, and then you go eat. Just a moment ago, you saw perfect evidence and execution of that by Brock. Now
Left hand comes in, Teddy.
Well,
Right hand over the top.
One of the big advantages for Brock as a big man, Joe, he's got deceptive hand speed, very quick hands, and he's a scary fighter. He didn't have that amateur background. He's a scary fighter, but he uses the fear to explode in spots. Watch McCline. You're not going to see that consistently, that kind of attack. You're going to see it in spurts, in dangerous spurts, if Brock's not aware and alert. McCline is a spot fighter.
And now Brock trying to turn things around. He landed a right hand and a left hand moments ago. Back to the jab on the outside. Lead right hand from Brock. Yeah, scary fighter when you're that big, coming at you swinging wild like that, swinging wide, hooking in those lefts. There are a lot of defensive linemen that were drafted into the NFL today that aren't as big as Jameel McCline.
And one of the things you might not expect from a guy this big, as you said, a 47-pound weight advantage. McCline not inclined to really fight much on the inside. He'll grab on the inside. It's going to be up to Brock to realize that, be aware of that, and take a step back, create room, like he's trying to do right now, and work on the inside.
Very good start to this heavyweight fight. Lots of action between McCline and Brock in a fight that is critical to each man's future and critical to the future of the heavyweight division.
Again, watch for Brock when he lays that head on the right side from a distance.
Right hand stumbles McCline.
On top of the head, not the chin, but the top of the head. That'll throw the equilibrium off, and it's been thrown off from McCline. Now, we've been talking about the height advantage of McCline, but when is being the taller man not an advantage? And that's when the shorter man, Brock, as he is now, gets into punching range, and the taller man stands straight. Then it's not an advantage, it's a disadvantage, because there's a lot to hit there. There's a lot of matter to find when you're a tall man at 6'6" and the shorter man gets into that punching range.
Calvin Brock, the right hand to the top of the head, hurts Jameel McCline here in this third round. Jeremy Schaap is standing by with the junior middleweight champion of the world. Jeremy.
Joe, thanks very much. If anyone knows what it takes to defeat Shane Mosley, it's Winky Wright, who beat him twice last year. If you were David Estrada tonight, what would you be doing against Shane Mosley?
You know, Shane Mosley, a very tough fighter, quick fighter. I think because he moved back down to 147, that he's going to be a lot stronger, and I'm expecting to see a very sharp Shane Mosley tonight.
Who do you think is going to win the fight?
I think Shane Mosley is going to win the fight.
All right, thank you very much, Winky. Back down to you, Joe.
Thanks, Jeremy. Of course, that will be next on this inaugural pay-per-view. David Estrada and Shane Mosley. Let's take a look at what Calvin Brock was able to do, Teddy, in that third round.
Well, the first thing he does is he uses the jab to close the distance, get in close to the taller man. Now you see the taller man stand straight up. When a taller man stands straight up, as I was talking about earlier, it's not an advantage being tall anymore. Once again, the taller man stands straight up, and the right hand is put right there behind the ear, a little bit on the head, throws the equilibrium of McCline off.
Round number 4 scheduled for 10 in what has turned out to be a very, very good heavyweight matchup. You know, the punch numbers from that third round a little deceiving. McCline had 15 out of 45, but 12 of those connects were landed in the first minute. Brock took over the fight in the last 2 minutes of that third round, especially that right hand that landed in the final minute. Teddy's scorecard, out of the gate strong for the undersized but big-hearted and well-skilled Calvin Brock. 30-27, 24-0 with 20 knockouts. I'm Joe Tessitore, ringside with Teddy Atlas, Jeremy Schaap, our reporter, Brian Kenny, and Sugar Ray Leonard with our analysis. Kenny, our host, Ray Leonard, our guest analyst tonight. So glad to have the former champ with us here at Caesars Palace. There's that work behind the jab once again from Brock.
Again, one of the things that so far has it a bleaker night for McCline, he needs to be the better man on the outside, which he was with that left hand just a second ago.
There's a good right hand after the jab.
He needs to get it done on the outside. And on the inside, Brock needs to be able to make a better choice than he's making right there. This is about choices. It's not about anything else. Not can I punch, but do I want to punch? Brock needs to make that decision be a yes.
Let's bring in our guest analyst, Sugar Ray Leonard, tonight. Ray, how do you see this between Brock and McCline so far?
Well, what I see in Brock, he's starting to establish the tempo of the fight because he's using that jab. The jab gets him closer. He's able to throw his right hand, and his defense, I tell you, is pretty impressive.
Ray, you would have to, Ray, it's Teddy here. You'd agree then, for Brock to win this fight, he's got to be able to control the outside. I'm talking about McCline. For him to win the fight, he's got to control the outside. If Brock is able to control the outside, it's going to be a long night for McCline, the taller man.
You're so right there, Teddy, because McCline's not using his jab. He should be using his height and reach advantage, but he's not doing that. He's allowing the shorter man to get inside and work the body.
Do you think right now, Ray, that Brock is missing? I know I have him winning this fight, I think you do, but do you think he's missing a boat in the situation right now by not working on the inside when he has that opportunity on the inside with a guy that he seems to have the better with in there?
Well, that's his key. I think once Brock is inside, like even here, he should be throwing body shots and really moving his hands. He's not doing that. When he has the opportunity, he needs to take advantage of that.
Ray will be visiting with you all night long. Thanks for your insight. Coming to the end of round number 4 here, scheduled for 10. Back to the jab and a right hand attempted by Brock. A closer look at these two heavyweights. Our fighter focused on Jameel Big Time McCline.
But you gotta get down and punch.
Born in Harlem, we told you that. Turned his life around after serving 5 years in prison. And Teddy, something that you have keyed in on, only one amateur fight, turned pro, learned the hard way, took a couple losses and a draw early on. Since then, he's been on the ascent, and he is a 2-time world title challenger.
Get out here and do it.
All right, relax.
And Calvin Brock, the pride of Charlotte, North Carolina. A U.S. Olympic representative, one of the few contending heavyweights we have ever known to have a college degree as a business degree from UNC Charlotte. Real smart guy, the boxing banker, and he has a love and affinity for tap dancing, Teddy. We've seen him go at it, puts on the shoes, says, listen, keeps me in great shape, fluidity, athleticism, loves tap dancing.
The late, great Sugar Ray Robinson, some people think pound for pound the greatest of all time. He loved tap dancing too.
Break out clean, come on.
And he could do it pretty well. You just saw a minute ago, that was Jim Strickland in the corner of Calvin Brock, taking care of that cut, doing a good job, using coagulants, medicines to stop that bleeding, and of course, old-fashioned pressure.
I think they've done an outstanding job. That cut opened up over the left eye in the first round. It has not played a factor at all.
The coagulants that are allowed here in Nevada, adrenaline, Avatine, Thrombin.
Teddy, of course, you were in the corner for numerous big fights here in the Nevada under the state commission. This is the weekend, the 11-year anniversary of your shining moment as a trainer when Michael Moore toppled Vandal Holyfield for the heavyweight championship of the world. Everybody can remember back to those inspirational words in the corner. Of course, if you missed the news yesterday, Michael Moore gave you a phone call and announced his retirement.
Which I'm proud of Michael. I'm very appreciative of him giving me the opportunity to train a heavyweight champ. Not once, but twice when he came back a second time and won it. I'm very proud that he decided to walk away at the right time, I believe, with his dignity and respect for himself and the sport. And I think he's going to be a good trainer.
Wish him the best in retirement. Halfway through this 5th round, scheduled for 10.
See, this is where Brock, I think, needs to make a little bit more hay. Because he's got the advantage on the inside. You don't need my word for it. Just look at the proof of McCline grabbing on the inside in spots. That should be enough to tell you that Brock should look to work in there if McCline doesn't want to. See, right now,
fair but firm's got to get firm here.
Well, right now, McCline falling, he does that. He'll grab you, he'll use his weight, and he'll fall on you. It's up to Brock to create room to punch. Take steps back, rotate his shoulders back, push off a little bit, create some punching room. Brock slowing up a little bit this round, allowing McCline with that kinetic energy, that nervous energy, that almost frenetic energy to get off quick punches, scary punches, and then grab, but have a decent round for McCline.
Second instance of grappling that we've seen here in this 5th round. Let's listen in to Joe Cortez. Fair but firm, indeed he is. McCline tries to spin around and bring in that right hand. Jeremy Schaap is standing by with a Hall of Famer and a young hopeful. Jeremy. We apologize for the technical difficulties with the audio with Jeremy Schaap. I'm sure we will get to David Estrada and the legendary Angelo D in moments. Of course, Angelo had so many big moments himself here at Caesars Palace, and now he has the 26-year-old David Estrada coming off of a career-defining win against Chris the Mechanic Smith and against one of the recent legends of the game, Sugar Shane Mosley. That'll be coming up next here on this inaugural ESPN pay-per-view from this magnificent facility outdoors on the Vegas Strip at Caesars Palace. Well, you talked about Calvin Brock maybe slowing a bit, Teddy, when you were watching that 5th round. Indeed, the numbers prove it to be true. He only threw 33 punches. That's his low number for the fight. He was 12 of 33. McCline was 10 of 49. Round number 6.
Brock allowed McCline to control the tempo that round by resting when he wanted to. Most importantly, getting himself back together. He's a guy with no amateur background. I know he had all the pro background. He got surprised early rounds. I think there was a little doubt in his mind. And instead of Brock keeping the foot on the gas pedal, he let McCline kind of get himself back together, rest when he wanted to, and then fight in those spots that I talked about that McCline likes to fight in real quick, and then grab and rest again, as you see McCline doing there. He likes to spurt and then grab you, rest a little bit, and then spurt again.
Teddy, Jameel McCline told us that he spent the first 2 weeks after this fight was signed and sealed in utter shock that Calvin Brock took the fight. That's because of the sparring sessions in which he says he beat him every round they sparred. Do you think he's still shocked?
Well, I think that it may have hurt him in his preparation for this fight, even though you would think that would be a confident moment. Because first of all, in that sparring session, Brock turned southpaw to help McCline get ready for the southpaw bird. So that's not Brock's stance, so he would figure to have a little difficult time there. And McCline figuring that just because he got the better of him in the gym, that it was going to be a home run in the fight, it was going to be an automatic in the fight, that he would have an edge. He could have set himself up for a little bit of a disappointment that's hard to overcome once the reality starts to crash home.
Yeah, you're not getting a real good picture of a guy when he's trying to imitate a southpaw and he's a righty.
And you start to put in your head, this is going to be an easy fight, or it's going to be my fight. Instead of going there prepared the way you usually do with an unknown quantity, you go there prepared for anything and for the worst, and you're just going to be prepared to be at your best. McCline may have taken something a little bit for granted coming off of those sparring sessions. Matter of fact, Brock supposedly got dropped in those sparring sessions, but Brock says it was because his feet got tangled up and he got pushed down. So McCline again might have been giving too much emphasis to having dropped Brock when he really didn't. Again, McCline doing a lot of falling inside, and you see him giving up his height there. That can be dangerous. When something comes up top at McCline, watch him. He'll lean forward, he'll give up that 6'7". And when he leans forward like that, it'd be a good spot for Brock to time an uppercut.
See if Calvin Brock can get that in. Jeremy Shep, let's try that dance again.
Thanks very much, Joe. I'm here with David Estrada, about to get into the ring with Shane Mosley. Biggest fight of his career. You're a heavy underdog, David. What do you have to do to win this fight?
A lot of pressure and a jab. That's it.
Is that it?
Simple as that.
Do you think that's it, Angelo Dundee?
That's it. He's got a few more wrinkles to give the guy, but he's ready. I think he's going to do it. And, hey, man, we're going to fight for a title.
You spent all those years in Muhammad Ali's corner. What tricks do you have up your sleeve tonight?
There's no tricks. This kid knows Shane Mosley better than anybody, and he's going to show it tonight.
Thanks very much, Angelo. David, good luck. Thanks. Back down to you, Joe.
Welterweights will be taking over this pay-per-view when we are finished up here with McCline, Brock, David Estrada, Shane Mosley, and then a main event that if you're a boxing aficionado, you drool over. But if you know, have you seen them fight once? Kermit Cintrone and Antonio Margarito, what a fight that's going to be. Teddy, let's talk about what we've seen out of Jameel McCline in the past couple rounds, because if you remember back to his November fight against Chris Bird, he came out strong. He had a 40-22 power shot advantage over the first 4 rounds, but then fatigue started to set in. McCline started to slow a bit, and Bird started piling up the points. In fact, in the last 6 rounds, Bird outlanded him 165-84. Could we have a repeat performance here as we come down the home stretch? Tom Yankello, the trainer at Calvin Brock, is now with us. Tommy, how do you see this?
I think we're definitely ahead. It's a real good fight, but I want Calvin to box a little bit more on the outside. When he does get on the inside, I want him to keep turning him, because so McCline doesn't get his feet set, and I want him to keep turning him, and I want him to fight him, not try to out-muscle the big guy. You're never going to be able to out-muscle the big guy, so I want him boxing 80% of the time on the outside. When he does get in, a little short spurt, stepping around him, and getting angles and punching off like he did right there.
Thomas, oh, wow! Tom, get back to work. One punch at this level can turn a fight around, and did it ever for Jameel McCline.
And it wasn't just because he threw the punch. He threw it at the right time, and that's why Brock is so hurt. He never saw the punch coming. Brock, all he remembers was he was throwing a right hand, left hook, and McCline punched in between those shots. They were a little fat. There was a little bit of light in between those punches, and McCline was able to crash counters home.
Jameel McCline all over him now.
Yeah, but that's the problem. He's all over him.
You better believe it. You need to get some room.
That's the problem. He's being tied up, and that's valuable seconds. Right now, Brock doesn't care about winning this round. He just wants to survive the round and get back to his corner. And he's getting a chance.
And now Brock turns the tables for a moment.
Well, he got a chance. Valuable seconds to recover there, Joe, because McCline didn't have distance to punch. He smothered himself and allowed Brock to get a little bit of a reprieve.
And now Brock standing on the inside and getting his shots off. I think he has steadied himself. Completely steadied himself, and now he's the aggressor. A right hand comes in from Calvin Brock.
And again, I feel that inside fighting can be a big edge for Brock, and he wasn't doing enough of it.
Another right hand comes in.
Guess what? He's doing a lot of it now on the inside. You know why? Because he's been hurt, and he's just doing things that feel natural. He's letting punches go. Before he was thinking too much about maybe not working inside and taking a break. Now he's just doing things because he's been hurt, and his instincts are taking over. And sometimes the fighter performs even better than.
Good stuff here in this 7th round. Teddy, what action from two very, very hungry and determined heavyweights. Let's start off the replays with McCline's knockdown earlier in the 7th round.
Just use your jab and everything. All you got to do is keep him on the outside.
You're going to see why. A little bit of a wide left hook there by Brock, and he left a hole. Let's take another look at it. We talked about wide left hooks in the tips. On the inside, you could see, actually, even more than the left hook, you see Brock laying his head on that right side. We talked about it, and he was vulnerable to a right hand, and he got caught. Now he comes back. McCline fell in too close, allowed Brock to recover a little bit, and Brock was able to come back. And because of that comeback, I'm not making it a traditional 10-8 round because of the knockdown. I'm going to give it to McCline 10-9.
I fully agree with that. That would be the definition of a 10-9 round, where the winner scored a knockdown because of the body of work and the comeback by Calvin Brock. Round number 8, scheduled for 10. A very exciting heavyweight fight. And if you've been monitoring this division, then you know we haven't had many in recent years.
Matter of fact, that 10-9 is reminiscent. There's history, of course, behind that in this great sport that's been around so long. But history that I remember, you're talking about 11 years ago when Michael Moore beat Holyfield here at Caesar's Palace. Moore was dropped in the 2nd round, but he came back tremendously, and 2 of the judges made it 10-9, 1 even made it 10-10. That was the difference in Michael Moore winning the title. That could be the difference here tonight.
Brock attempts another right hand as he backed him up that time.
Again, now Brock has been hurt. I know this is going to sound funny, but it's like some people that have a drink in order for their personality to come out and just be a little bit more free swinging and talk the way they like to talk. Once you've been hurt, sometimes you start to do things more naturally, Joe. Sometimes you're not inhibited anymore by your thoughts and your fear process of what to worry about. It looks like right now, believe it or not, being hurt the last round might have helped Brock, because he's just letting his hands go now on the inside, which I think he should be doing.
What a courageous effort. Calvin Brock, 24-0, the unbeaten former U.S. Olympian, trying to make his way into the heavyweight rankings and give the division a spark.
Again, the inside, I believe, even though he got hurt on the inside, I believe the inside is a big advantage for Brock. The reason he got hurt was there was a little distance and he laid his head on the right side. And when you lay your head on the right side and you give distance, there's room for that right hand, and that's what Brock, the right hand of McCline with Brock laying his head on the right. Look for that.
In the first 2 minutes of this 8th round, McCline only landed 4 punches.
McCline's a guy that likes to work on the outside, being forced now in this kind of fight, so close, to have to work on the inside. Now in a fight like that, there's not a lot to separate. Whoever does a little bit more in these spots on the inside, whoever makes the harder choice, the better choice, to find the way to punch, they could separate themselves in this kind of fight. It's not about condition right now, Joe, really, believe me, it's not. It's about discipline and making a choice.
Jameel McCline, mouth open, standing up, awaiting the instructions of Jimmy Glenn. Opposite him stands Calvin Brock and trainer Tommy Ankello.
Bring it back out now, you understand?
Listen.
What a night here in Vegas. We are just off the strip. ESPN Budweiser pay-per-view boxing. This guy has been a major attraction for many years here on the Vegas Strip. Sugar Shane, the return to the welterweight division for the 3-time world champion. He will be taking on David Estrada coming up next on ESPN Budweiser pay-per-view boxing. Teddy, we take it back to the 7th round.
Joe, take a look at this knockdown here. Watch where Brock's head is. It's laying on the right side and there's distance. And the right hand was able to catch him, and a left hook for good measure put him down on the floor.
That was the knockdown scored in the 7th round, but Brock came right back and won the last minute of that round. McCline in the gold with black, Brock in the gold with blue, and Brock now with a series of right hands, and he's got McCline stumbling.
Well, he's going to his game plan, Brock, that is, doing it the simple, conventional way. Taking height away from the taller man by using the jab, bringing his feet with him, working his way in, and then finishing off behind the jab with something else. In other words, the jab sets the table, and as I said earlier, you want to go sit down and eat, and usually that right hand is the one that wants to get fed.
Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you ringside, along with Jeremy Schaap. Punches in round 8. Brock a 20-10 advantage, laid at 40%. The fights past 8 rounds, of course, McCline, much more experience. He's had 8. Brock has only had 1. McCline has fought for the world title twice. He just did it this past November against Chris Bird in losing a very, very slim split decision. Teddy, you sit back and you watch these two go at it, and you realize how good is it when you have a great heavyweight matchup.
Well, it's good for McCline when he uses that jab on the outside. Not good when he allows Brock to work his way in. Again,
good exchange.
Even though Brock or McCline scored the knockdown on the inside, to win this fight, he's got to do more on the outside.
Been saying that for a while.
And again, there's a lot of inhibitions with these fighters in that square circle all alone in there. And some of those inhibitions, some of those doubts, some of those fears, they get removed when you've been dinged, when you've been zinged a little bit. I think they've been removed from Brock. I really believe it or not, that being on the floor has served Brock.
And opposite that stance, so many times in previous fights, they come to the surface for Jameel McCline.
Because once you've been on the floor, there's nothing to worry about no more.
That's right.
You're free. You're free, young man.
And he was free in that 7th round, and he turned it on after hitting the canvas.
There's an opportunity on the inside. Watch McCline give up that height. See how he's becoming small now?
Yep.
Now he's working, but he's also grabbing, and he's falling forward. There's 2 opportunities, 2 windows of offense for Brock. One is to step back when McCline falls forward. Create room, step back, and catch him with an uppercut. The other is when Brock throws something, chucks something up top to McCline, and McCline gives up his height and leans forward. Time him with an uppercut. Right there. There was an opportunity for Brock to throw that uppercut. His corner needs to make him aware of that.
Another combination to close out the round.
All right,
Let's listen into the corner of Calvin Brock.
Last round, Calvin. Keep him at the end of your punch. Stick that jab. Stick that jab, okay? All right.
Ice.
All right. Relax. Just relax. Relax, man. Do your thing. You understand?
All right, touch him up. I don't want to
Keep your mouth open.
Touch him up, okay? You might try to come out hard. Just tie him up, okay? Take.
Grab it in.
Mouth open. Breathe hard.
No, this one. Both of them are loose. But this one here was
The combinations of Calvin Brock, when he puts the punches together, it works well, Teddy.
Well, first of all, the jab sets up the right hand, closes the gap, and gets him in position to be close. But there, they have to make a choice of whether or not to punch.
10th and final round between these two heavyweights. For Jameel McCline, he wants to win to get another title shot. For Calvin Brock, the ascent as an undefeated contender, will it continue? In that 9th round, McCline was 11-19 on his jabs, and they were even at total connects at 19. It was a better round for McCline than when we saw with some of his work earlier. The punches through 9, 160 to 125, the advantage for Brock. He has also outworked him, throwing 30 more, landing 37%. Of course, the one knockdown in this fight was scored by Jameel McCline. That happened from a left hook in the 7th round.
Again, right now, it's a matter of making choices on the inside. Do I make a silent agreement to grab on the inside, or do I find a way to punch? Right here, you're going to see both of them deciding to punch.
Let's go.
You know, we talk about Brock coming in, great shape, 218 pounds, the lightest weight of his career, 8 pounds less than his last fight. He knew what was at stake. McCline came in the lightest weight in almost 2.5 years. That's why you have a good competitive fight with high punch stats for heavyweights, and you don't always get that. They understood what was on the line. There's a right hand again by McCline, and I believe on my scorecard, for whatever it's worth, and I don't know what it's worth, he needs to score at least a couple knockdowns to win this fight. And the way to do it, I believe, is to hold in on a punch that has gotten you something all night long. So and that's the right hand.
You think the boxing banker Calvin Brock has been banking away rounds and didn't get damaged with a 10-8 round, even with the knockdown in the 7th round because of the comeback. Thus, McCline needs to come up big here in this final minute.
Yeah, I think McCline needs to cash those CDs in right now in the form of a right hand, because that's the one punch that's been of effect for him tonight.
Calvin may close the bank, though. It's a Saturday.
And again, for McCline to land that right hand, he needs the inspiration on his part, but he needs a little help from positioning on Brock's part. For Brock to lay his head on the outside, on the right. Actually, right now, McCline doesn't want to be in this position because he can get tied up. And seconds are his enemy right now, I believe, being behind in this fight. He wants distance where he has a better chance of landing something clean. Because to land something clean, you need a little room. And it looks like he's not going to get it.
Here they go, last 10 seconds.
His head on the right again, and the right hand grabs home. Hurt Brock, but maybe a little too late.
Boy, if he needed the lotto ticket, he had about 5 out of 6 numbers right there. What a good fight between Jameel McCline and Calvin Brock in a meaningful heavyweight fight.
Not a bad way to kick off our first pay-per-view on ESPN.
Not at all. Let's take a look back at the action between the unbeaten Calvin Brock and big-time McCline. Teddy, the first 3 rounds, yes, the eye was cut for Calvin Brock, but he looked strong out of the gate.
Well, more importantly, he had a game plan. Take the jab away from the bigger man, get inside, and work off the jab, and work inside.
Third round, he continued his work. A right hand hurt Jameel McCline, staggered him back. Then, come the 7th round, oh boy, did the fireworks explode.
Well, again, Brock laying his head on the right, he paid a price for it. Right hand, left hook.
But Calvin Brock, with a courageous effort, comes back in that very same round.
Well, he was set free. After he was hurt, he let it go. He got inside where he had a big advantage. And here he used the jab to get inside and go to work.
This is the action in the 9th round when Calvin Brock put together strong combinations, and they finished up very well. A right hand came in flush from Jameel McCline. 10 very exciting rounds here from Caesar's Palace between 2 hungry heavyweights. The total punches between McCline and Brock. Calvin Brock threw 33 more. He landed a 180 to 143 connect advantage, and in terms of power punches, he was up 135 to 107. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 97-93, and note that the 7th round went 10-9 because of the comeback by Calvin Brock. Let's send it up to the ring to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. We have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Carol Castellano, scores the bout 96 to 94. Judge Glenn Trowbridge sees it 96 to 93. Bill Graham scores the bout 97 to 93. All 3 in favor of the winner, and still undefeated, Calvin Brock.
Reason to celebrate. The boxing biz has a 25-0 heavyweight who has just broken through.
And you know what? Not only did he win, but he got off the floor to win. And I'm not going to get carried away here, but the old timers would have said that's the mark of a potential champ, when you can show that character.
I like what I see, and I'm sure everybody else does. Let's go to the ring with Jeremy Schaap.
Joe, thanks very much. I'm standing here with Jameel McCline. Obviously a very disappointed Jameel McCline. Jameel, in particular in the 7th round, you had Calvin Brock in trouble. You knocked him down. Why were you unable to take advantage of that as the round continued?
Thought I had him out. He found a way to come back. Good fighter.
What do you think went wrong tonight? If you think, in fact, anything went wrong.
Nothing went wrong. Brock fought a great fight.
What do you think about the decision?
It was a good decision.
How close do you think it was, Jameel?
I thought it was close, but listen, that's not my job. My job is to fight.
You've lost 2 close decisions in a row now, though, to Chris Bird and to Calvin Brock. Where do you go from here?
You know, I don't know, man.
Well, you said tonight to me before you came into the ring that this was everything for you. How do you feel now?
This is it, man. This is my life. This is all I know. This is all I have. Without this, I'm nothing. I don't know what's next.
Jameel, thanks very much for your time. Jameel McCline obviously very disappointed, Joe.
Absolutely, Jeremy, and it's understood. This was a fight that he did not need to have. He's the 6th-ranked heavyweight in the world, but he gave a golden opportunity to Calvin Brock, an opportunity that Brock took advantage of, and now Jeremy is with the unbeaten winner, Calvin Brock. Jeremy.
Calvin, you are still undefeated. An hour ago, you told me that you were completely confident coming into this situation. How did you feel, though, in the 1st round when you were cut?
Well, I didn't know that I was cut. They told me. I couldn't feel it.
I saw you wiping the blood from your eyes, though.
Well, it looked like something was in my eyes, like some Vaseline or something, and it was like blurring my left vision, but I got it out.
How did this meet your expectations?
Well, you know, honestly, you know, with me having high knockout ratio coming in, I thought I would get him out of there, but I was prepared to go the distance for 10 rounds, which you saw me do. And I really credit Jameel McCline. He was a lot better shape, a lot tougher than what I expected him to be, and he's a top heavyweight, just come out of a world championship, lost by 1 point against Chris Bird in a split decision, which a lot of people thought he won, but you can't argue with the decision. But as you can see, I won a unanimous decision by a long margin, and I show a lot of heart, and I thank God in Jesus' name for blessed me with the win today, the ability to tell me and Kello Hill, great trainer, my dad.
Well, Calvin, the pivotal moment in the 7th round when you were knocked down by a left hook from Jameel McCline. Let's take a look at it now. It's right over here. Now, what are you thinking? Is that happening?
Well, you know what? He caught me with a real good shot. It did daze me. I was a little bit off balance. He's a heavy guy, 265 pounds, 260 pounds. He's strong, and he pushed me and hit me. And that's a real good move that he did.
Well, congratulations, Calvin, on a thorough victory.
Thanks, and I thank Charlotte Boxing Academy back at home for where I trained at, plus joining training camp, and I'm going to be the people's world heavyweight champion. I'm the real heavyweight champion of the world. I just want everybody to know.
All right, Joe, Teddy, back down to you guys.